Can you sing us a song, or perhaps if you're not willing to sing us a song, can you show us a sample of one or maybe, I don't know, two of your books that you've written so far? The choice is yours.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to sing.
Okay.
I'll I'll show you the books.
Like, subscribe, and share to Voices of Linden TV.
Welcome to that edition of the Let's Talk Show. I'm your host, Andrew James, and today I'm pleased to have with us in studio via Zoom Dr. Gillian Richards-Greaves, a former Mackenzie High School student, year 1983 to 1988. Currently, Dr. Richards is an associate professor, an author, and a major researcher. I'm pleased to have with us in studio today Dr. Richards-Greaves.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be on the show today.
Welcome aboard, Doctor. It's been a Mackenzie High School show, of course. When you hear the word Mackenzie High School, what comes to mind?
A lot of great things come to mind, but the first is tiny but mighty. When I think of Mackenzie High, I think of a relatively small school in Guyana that does a lot of great things, that produces a lot of great people. So I think of the foundation that we receive at Mackenzie High and how that allows us to go just about anywhere in the world and to be amazing because we received that great foundation that was rooted in the motto hard work, hard play.
Very nicely said. Can you tell us about any fond memories of the school, please?
I have a lot of fond memories of MHS. A lot of my fond memories included, of course, studying in the classroom with friends, playing Saw Out, whether it's a game of cricket, engaging in sports and stuff like that. But but some of the other funny stories that I can think about are, you know, engaging in like plucking chicken, like farm. And we at the end of the semester, we would have to kill chickens and pluck chickens, and it was a really arduous job. It was really hard work. So some of the boys one year had this great idea that they're going to get paid for the work they were doing. So they decided to, as they were plucking the chickens, throw a couple of them over the fence so that later later on, when they were done plucking the chickens, they can go and collect, the ones they threw over the fence when they were done working. However, every time every time they threw a chicken over the fence, a dog would come from nowhere, grab up the chicken and take off running with it. So it, it was like they were trying to chase away the dog and not draw Mr. Danny's attention to what was going on at the same time. So that was one
Mm.
of the memories I remember. That's one of the memories that come to mind, the fond memories that I have. Another one was cutting a hole in the fence
Yes.
so we can sneak into class late. I think all of us know about that. So I was in 5S1. So my classroom happened to be closer to the principal's office, right? The headmistress office. So at the beginning of school, Miss Britton would pace back and forth. She would walk the hallway, checking in the classrooms and stuff. So we would cut a hole in the fence and we would sneak in because we know if we came through the main gate, we're going to get in trouble because we're coming late. And
Hmm.
so the students in, I think it was 5A, they were closer to the end of the school grounds. They would watch for us and they would tell us whether or not anyone is around. And so we would sneak in through the hole and we would take a seat in 5A. And then the 5A students would look down the hall as if they're just checking. And they're like, oh, coast is clear. And then we would run down the hall to, to class. So those are some of the crazy things I can think about, that come to mind.
Very nice. Don't mean to get too presumptuous there with you, but can you tell us a little bit about yourself? What do you do in your spare time, Doctor?
In my spare time, I love to read. but I do a lot of writing in my spare time. As you can imagine, as a college professor, it involves a lot of reading. But because I'm also a researcher, I'm always reading for, in order to get quotes and things like that. So I do a lot of reading. I do a lot of writing. Um, in my spare time. I also love to sing. I like making music. I recently set up a small studio in my home so my sons can also make music, and so I love reading, I love writing, I love to swim, but I, I, I just love music. So
Can you sing us a song, or perhaps if you're not willing to sing us a song, can you show us a sample of one or maybe, I don't know, two of your books that you've written so far? The choice is yours.
yeah, well, I'm not gonna sing.
Okay.
But I'll show you the books. Well, um,
Okay.
this is my first book. It's called Rediasporization, African-Guyanese Kweh-Kweh. And this is an academic book, right? And it examines the creation of a diaspora, a newer diaspora from an existing one.
Hmm.
The term diaspora just refers to a group residing outside of its original homeland. So the African diaspora in Guyana, African Guyanese, and the Guyanese diaspora in New York City. And so this is my second book, which is a children's book, and it's called Eclectic Hair with Granny and Me.
Nice.
Right. And this book looks at black hair, but from a historical and cultural perspective, specifically looking at the ways that black culture is inscribed in and on black hairstyles from way back before pre-colonial times.
Doc, can you tell us about your price points and where are those books available?
Yeah, so each of these books is published by the publish is sold by the publisher as well as Amazon and other sites. So the Rediasporization book, you can get it at the University Press of Mississippi at their website, but you can also get it on Amazon, and it's about $30 for the soft cover. And then the children's book, Eclectic Hair with Granny and Me, you can get it at the Ex Libris website, and you can also get it on Amazon for about $26. And a revised edition is coming soon, which will have a coloring book attached to it.
If you can go back in time, what age would it be and why?
If I were to go back in time, I think I'll go back to age 18. So 18 was the age I graduated high school in the United States. And so that meant I graduated high school for the second time because I completed MHS in 1988. And I was going back in 1989 to take some additional courses, repeat some classes to, how we do at CXC. But then I came to the United States and was re-enrolled in high school, and I completed high school a year later. So
Hmm.
for the second time, I graduated high school. And so why I said 18 is because I feel that at that time, um, I would have made certain decisions that would have affected my life differently. For one, I would have gone away to college. I would have sort of spread my wings, explored. I would have done new things. I would not have been afraid. And I think I was sort of like a house wren. I stayed close to home. I stayed in the Caribbean community. I did not feel the need, or maybe I was concerned about running too far or too fast or too far away from my core values, core belief, community, that kind of thing. But I think if I had ventured out, it would have been I would have accomplished more. I would have seen more. I would have matured even faster.
Very nice. Nice story there, Doc. Any regrets? Looking back in time, anything you can think about?
Yes, of course. Of course, we have a lot of regrets, things that if I woulda, coulda, shoulda. But one of the utmost regrets I think I have is sometimes allowing those who mark themselves as maybe spiritual leaders or friends or whatever it is, allowing them to kind of cause us to detour from our path, to be afraid or to limit ourselves. So, what I would say is, you know, don't allow other people's limitations to limit you because a lot of times, you might find that there are people around you and they're giving you good advice, maybe don't go here because, or this is not possible, or, and sometimes they mean well, they
Hmm.
mean well, but what they're doing is causing you to second guess yourself. They're causing you to not reach out beyond your boundaries, beyond your own limitations, and they're causing you to sometimes even to be afraid. So what I would say, like looking back, I would say, you know, don't allow others' limitations to limit you. Whatever it is that you want to do, you do it, right? So if you are going to fail at something, it should not be because you allowed somebody else to make you afraid. It should be that you've exhausted all of your options, all of the possibilities available to you, and it wasn't enough. But so that's what I would say, is like just reach for the stars and don't allow yourself to be limited. Because you'll find people that'll come, sometimes they'll say, oh, the spirit didn't show me this, or I don't feel this way. That's good. Listen, but don't allow others' limitations to limit you.
Very nicely said.
Yeah.
Do not allow others' limitations to limit you. Doc, I'm just going to put you in a spot. Can you give us an example of something that happened that, through your lens looking back, you would say that um, that was someone who was in a position of influence that said something to you that was kind of limiting.
Yeah. So when I was younger, as I said before, I was around a lot of folks who they had ideas of what accomplishment looks like.
Hmm.
And going off to school was not one of those things. And so I remember when I got a scholarship to study at Indiana University, um, there were some individuals who were they actually had a prayer circle going because they felt I was going out of the will of God, and we have to pray against this because you might meet with hell and whatever else it is. And I was just second guessing everything. I was just, oh my God, what should I do? Now I have this full scholarship to go away to study, but I'm concerned because, you know, maybe they're right, or what if, or what, because I knew nothing about where I was going. But you know, during that same period of time is when I met Dr. Vibert Cambridge, right? He's the president
Hmm.
of the Guyana Cultural Association. And he said to me, Guyana will be proud of you, and that kind of like put things in perspective for me, because for me, it never just about me. He said,
Right.
I would be proud of you. And I'm like, you know what? This door's opened up and I'm walking through it. But the truth is, that could have impeded my success if I listened to those naysayers. And so I've had many of those experiences because I was always this person that was pushing forward, right? I was always, attempting new things.
How does it make you feel as a person when someone addresses you as Dr. Richard Graves?
Well, honestly, it makes me feel accomplished. It makes me feel good because there's a whole lot that went into accomplishing my PhDs. I have a PhD in anthropology and a PhD in ethnomusicology. So, trying to complete or completing two doctorates while raising young children and having a family was extremely hard. It was extremely difficult, and a lot of times it was a balancing act, right? Trying to what can I allow to just go for this moment, right? What can I give up at this time? So it was a balancing act, and it took a lot. It took a lot for me, so it makes me feel accomplished, but I'm a very humble person, so I don't walk around saying, "Oh, call me doctor." It doesn't get to my head. At the same time, I feel proud to know that I was able to show my mom that her sacrifices were not in vain. I feel proud
Hmm.
to know that I can be hopefully an inspiration to my family, not just my children, but nieces and nephews, young people coming up, young Guyanese people in general, Mackenzie High School. Hopefully, maybe there's a young person that's coming up and dealing with some of these same issues and have, experiencing some of these same obstacles. And hopefully, my pushing through my accomplishing the goals that I set out to accomplish would inspire them. So while I'm happy and I feel, proud that I was able to accomplish this feat, I know that it's a bigger deal, right? The goal is much greater.
Mhm.
That is to inspire future generations and to encourage others to continue to persevere.
Doc, congratulations on all your accomplishment. You have made Mackenzie High School look good. You've made your country look good, and I'm sure, like you said earlier, you're doing this to leave a mark for your family and for the future generations and so on. What would you say to someone in your mid 40s that has not excelled academically and there's still room for growth, but they're at a stage in their life where they're becoming very complacent?
I would say number one, as long as once there's life, there's hope. So start from where you are, because I think a lot of us sometimes, we have this attitude that, well, I done all now, I'm in my you know, or start a second career, whatever your hands find to do, do it, right? Because a lot of people will find their passions later on in life because they just kept trying. And so you just don't give up. And the truth is, um, you may not have a PhD, but you are just as important, and your input is just as valuable to your community. Because I say this all the time, some of the most brilliant people you would meet are people that might not have even had a chance to get formal education, right? Some of the old people you would meet, they're wise, they're wealthy, they're dedicated. So I would say, wherever you are, pick yourself up now, and just start putting one foot in front of the other. Don't worry about failure. Don't preoccupy yourself with failure, because I like to think that inherent in success is failure. Right? When you trip up, you can correct yourself, you can do better next time. So wherever you are, you start from there, and don't compare yourself to other people.
Nicely said, Doctor. Um, can you tell us, we're just pushing up against time, what are some of the hurdles or challenges you face to get to where you are today?
For me, one of the biggest challenges was balancing family and work and studies, right? I had to come up with new ways of cooking Guyanese foods, for example. Want to eat Guyanese foods, but I don't have 2 hours, 3 hours to dedicate to it. So finding ways to do shortcuts, finding shortcuts to the same problems, finding ways to spend time with my children while studying. So one of the things that I did, for example, was making notes on what do you call it, index cards. And so I'm playing soccer with them, but I'm also studying. I'm memorizing as I'm playing soccer. So that was one of the major hurdles, balancing all of the parts of my life. Another hurdle that I think that we often don't speak of it, or we don't speak of it enough, is, and I mentioned it before, trying to shut out the noises, the naysayers, those who want to kind of cause us to veer off course, right? This can't be done, or you're taking too long, you're studying too much, it costs too much. But, to see the end goal is to be able to circumvent those hurdles, or to use those hurdles as stepping stones. So, but for me, the biggest one was managing all of those different important parts of my life.
What would you say to someone that's watching this video right now that's deeming themselves to be a complete failure? I know there's a COVID is happening, and a lot of folks are, they're depressed. Religious leaders praying for young people that are isolated from the rest of society and struggling with their own challenges. What would your advice be to a young person that's watching this video right now and that's struggling in that fashion?
I would say, number one, do not isolate yourself. The first thing I would tell you, don't isolate yourself, get up. So, when coronavirus hit last year, um, even those of us that were physically and mentally healthy found it extremely difficult. And so that is when I actually kind of established the studio. I got up, maybe everyone is not able to do that, but I wanted to plant. I started planting, started walking, exercising more. Um, for some people, you have skills. Start doing things. What is it? What can your hands find to do? What good things can you find to do with your hands? Do that. Is it raising chickens? All of these things I started doing that I was so busy that I couldn't get started on, right? I was too busy to get started. But I would say, number one, don't isolate yourself and sit down and really evaluate what your strengths are. What is it you can do? You may think, it's not a big deal. I can make plantain chips or I can do this. There's just recently this story about this young man who helped to pay his way through school by selling plantain chips. What is it?
Mhm.
What can your hands find to do? Do that. And don't isolate yourself. Don't limit yourself. Sometimes sometimes we have to be our own hype men and hype women, or our own hype person. We have to speak to ourselves and encourage ourselves because the situations around us are quite bleak. But I would say whatever it is you want to do, one foot in front of the other, and you just keep going, keep pursuing it. And as I would tell young people over and over again, don't worry about being told no. Some people, the first time they get a rejection letter, the first time they hear you can't do this, the first time something doesn't work out, they just quit. They crumble. No, take a break, dust yourself off and try again. Try to keep going. But I would say don't isolate yourself. Just, keep pushing. That's all I can say.
Good word of advice.
Another piece of advice I would like to give to young people, especially to young people, is to stay the course, right? So a lot of times we may look at the goals, we may look at somebody's accomplishments and say, well, I want to be a doctor, or I want to be a lawyer, or I want to accomplish this thing, I want to start this business. But too often we are so preoccupied with the end goal, becoming that thing, that we forget that the process is the most important part. And so I've been telling my sons recently that, you know, a major part of success is that mundane, everyday rigor, the boring, sitting down, studying when you don't want to study, doing, the stick to itiveness. And so that is one of the things I want to ensure that young people understand is that you may see the flashy titles or you may see people's accomplishments, but focus on the process. The stick to itiveness is what matters, because the largest or the most important part of any accomplishment is that mundane, everyday drudgery of success.
Thank you, Doctor. What do you think we can do as a group or as an association to influence change in the lives of one current Mackenzie High School student or multiple students in general?
I would think, number one, finances. We have to find a way to pool our resources in order to help students. So I don't know if we set up a business account where former MHS students can pay into that account to help students with resources like textbooks and other kinds of instruments that they may need. Or sometimes it may even be um, helping them to get simple resources like food, which we often don't think about is a big deal, and it's one of the it's one of the things that impede the success of a lot of our students, because empty paper bag can't stand up. If you're hungry, you can't learn, right? So I think finances, that's a place to start. Maybe it's not just helping to fund them while they're there, but when they go, maybe helping them to go off, maybe sponsoring at one or two or how many students per year to go off to the university or to do different endeavors. We can also, those resources that we pool, um, could also go to renovating the physical spaces. So renovating the building, maybe creating a better soccer field, other kinds of amenities that the students there can benefit from. Another thing that I can think about is this sort of informal adoption. If we former students can say, well, I will pay for two students from Form 1 to Form 5, to, make sure they get all of their books, all of their resources. So you're responsible for John and Jane, and you're going to make sure that, these resources, it's not like you're minding the child, but it's like an informal
Mhm.
academic adoption. Those are things
Mhm.
I think that we can do that can really help to continue to build MHS and the kind of amazing students that it produces.
Dr. Richards-Greaves, thank you very much for taking the time out to share your time and your experience and what it is exactly to do with us. On behalf of everyone at the Let's Talk Show, our president and of course our executive producer, I want to take this opportunity to thank you very much for sharing your time with us, and we look forward to talking with you again in the near future. Congratulations on everything you're doing, and of course with your 2 new books and all your commitment to the community. Stay safe and God bless you and your family.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.